For decades, SETI has searched for one thing, a signal nature shouldn't make. A clean, narrow radio spike. Something so artificial, it would stand out immediately. But what if alien civilizations aren't silent at all? What if the plasma around their own star distorts the signal before it ever escapes the system? A growing line of research suggests the problem may not just be that nobody is calling. It may be that we trained our searches to ignore what some real technosignatures may actually look like. These signatures may not survive in the clean form we expect. If a transmission crosses a turbulent stellar environment, it may arrive distorted, and instead of a clean spike, the signal may arrive broadened enough to resemble noise, or at least close enough to noise that a classic narrowband search might not flag it. At the heart of this is the Fermi Paradox. The universe is so old and so full of planets that intelligent life should have had many chances to appear. So where is everybody? In response, we created projects like SETI. For decades, the guiding assumption was that a smart civilization would use a narrowband radio signal. Think of it like a laser pointer in a dark room. Natural space phenomena create messy radio noise across the spectrum, but a technological signal would be a sharp, powerful spike at one frequency, a dead giveaway that it's artificial. It's the classic needle-in-a-haystack strategy. Ignore the messy natural background and look for something nature almost never makes. Projects like SETI at home use the processing power of millions of home computers to hunt for these exact signals. From 1999 to March 2020, it analyzed an astronomical amount of data, which was filtered to remove interference from our own technology. This left a handful of candidate signals for a second look, but so far, none have been confirmed. The great silence continues. Much of that search was built around a simplifying assumption that a narrow artificial signal would still look narrow when we received it. What if that assumption is incomplete? Recent work is pushing SETI to rethink that assumption. Stars are not quiet backgrounds. They fill their systems with ionized gas, magnetic activity, and turbulent plasma. And for radio signals, plasma is not always an invisible medium. As a signal passes through that environment, it can be dispersed, scattered, and broadened. In simple terms, a sharp transmission can get smeared out, spreading its energy across frequency or time. What began as a clean, narrow ping may arrive looking weaker, wider, and much less obviously artificial. That matters because the most common stars in the galaxy are M-dwarfs. They make up most stars in the Milky Way and are major SETI targets because they live for extraordinarily long times. But many M-dwarfs, especially active ones, also produce strong magnetic activity, flares, and dense stellar environments that could make signal distortion worse. So in some systems, the issue may not be silence. It may be that the local environment degrades the signature we hunt for. This leads to a new idea. Maybe part of the great silence is a great smear problem. To understand why we might be missing a smeared signal, we first have to understand why we were looking for a sharp one in the first place. This wasn't a mistake. It was a deeply rational starting point. In the vast, chaotic theater of the cosmos, nature is a loud and messy broadcaster. Stars, pulsars, and quasars emit radio waves across broad swaths of the spectrum. It's a low-frequency hum, a static roar that fills every corner of the universe, creating a baseline of noise that any artificial signal has to overcome. Against that messy backdrop, a narrow, stable spike is a massive anomaly. It doesn't happen by accident. Targeting these narrow bands was the ultimate efficiency play for early SETI. Find a needle of pure frequency in a haystack of noise, and you've found technology. It was, and still is, the most logical place to start. It was the cleanest, most logical template for a first contact. But as our understanding of the interstellar medium and stellar environments has grown, we're realizing that this template, while powerful, might be incomplete. We weren't wrong. We just didn't fully account for the weather that a signal has to survive before it ever reaches the deep void of space. This is where the operational failure happens. A signal doesn't have to disappear to be lost to us. Think of it as a loss of resolution. When a transmission hits a turbulent plasma environment, it's scattered. The photons are redistributed in time and frequency. To a receiver on Earth, the signal arrives, but its sharpness, the very quality our filters use to identify it as artificial, is gone. It loses its contrast against the background noise. For a detection pipeline tuned to flag only the narrowest, most stable features, a broadened signal is a low-confidence event. It doesn't trigger the alarms. It gets ranked lower in the queue or discarded entirely as static. The signal has survived the journey physically, but it has failed the search operationally. It's there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a filter that knows how to see it. To see this gap in action, we have to look at how a computer actually decides what a signal is. It's not looking for a message, it's looking for a shape that matches its internal rules. A clean narrowband signal fits perfectly into a traditional detection window. The energy is concentrated, the SNR is high, and the system flags it instantly as a high-priority candidate. This is the success we've designed for. But take that same signal and smear it through stellar plasma. The energy is spread out. To the same computer, the signal now looks like a slight bump in the background noise. It doesn't match the spike rule, so it's rejected without a human ever seeing it. This is the hidden middle ground of SETI. We aren't failing because the aliens aren't there. We're failing because we've built a doorway that's only the size of a needle, when the message might be the size of the room. We've been looking for a perfectly preserved message in a bottle, when we should have been looking for the ink dissolved in the water. To estimate how strong this effect could be, researchers used solar system observations, including how radio signals propagate through the sun's plasma environment, to model what similar distortion might do in other systems. The implication is hard to ignore. In some environments, a narrowband signal may be degraded enough that classic pipelines would struggle to flag it. At least in some cases, the silence we've recorded may reflect a search bias, not necessarily an empty sky. So, how do we find these hidden messages? The answer isn't just to build bigger telescopes, but smarter ones. We have to re-engineer our search strategy. First, we may need to widen the filter. Instead of only hunting for razor-thin spikes, SETI could also search for broadened signal structures that still show non-random engineered patterns. Machine learning may help here. If models are trained on realistic simulations of how stellar plasma distorts transmissions, they may be able to flag candidates that older narrowband filters would reject. Target selection may matter too. Older, quieter M-dwarfs could be better listening posts than highly active ones, and higher observing frequencies may reduce some plasma-related distortion effects. Finally, the search is branching out. Optical SETI, which looks for powerful, rapid pulses of laser light, is another option. These optical signals are generally less susceptible to plasma distortion, but have their own challenges. By combining radio, optical, and other methods, we're casting a much wider net, admitting we don't know for sure what method an alien civilization might use or what hurdles their message might face. For 60 years, SETI has listened for a clean call from the stars. But maybe that was too narrow a definition of what an artificial signal should look like by the time it reaches us. That doesn't solve the Fermi Paradox, but it does shift the question. Maybe the issue isn't only whether anyone is transmitting, maybe it's whether we built our search around a signal shape that real interstellar communication may not always preserve. The next breakthrough may not come from a louder beacon. It may come from recognizing that the message arrived blurred, broadened, and buried inside what we used to call noise. Subscribe for more science stories where the signal might be real, but the first interpretation isn't the whole story. Until next time, never stop asking why.